Well, hello. September 13th, 2023. Happy birthday to my very dear friend. You know who you are. So let's do a video of the garden today. This is the brand new garden that was put in this year, and my helper that helped me to conquer chaos helped me a little bit. Her very first day of work was in the garden, and I'm sure she wondered what I was doing, but I was doing it anyway. So the sunflowers are starting to bloom, which is always gorgeous. I can't wait until they're all in bloom, but I couldn't risk missing at least these few that are blooming. And anyone, and there will be more next year, anyone who loves sunflowers the way I do, I believe they're like cookies. They make everyone smile. Well, no, there are not nearly enough sunflowers in there. So the garden spoke to me all summer long, told me what was going on. And I had the soil test done early in the spring of this year with one of the universities, and they sent me a delightful report. I have more nutrients in that garden than any garden needs to do what I'm doing. And this is a garden to grow vegetables that are not native to the Pacific Northwest. Like many of us veggie gardeners, we're trying to grow things that don't grow here. So you have to help the soil out. So what it's been telling me this year is I may have enough nutrients, but I don't have nearly enough bacteria. That little pumpkin right there, I've got the sun in my eyes, so I'm not sure. Yes, you can see that. That little pumpkin right there is the only Cinderella I'm getting this year. And I have one very small giant pumpkin on this plant. You'll see it when I go around to the other side. There was two, but some lovely little rodent got to eat most of that. And this is the end of the garden that never got anything put in it because it just wasn't ready. It has a lot of compacted soil I have to get broken up still. When I pruned the pumpkins, I just threw the vines there on the ground. So what I'm lacking here are the bacteria that allows these plants to absorb the nutrients that are in the garden. We put in sunflowers, a small Cinderella pumpkin, one giant pumpkin. I have, I believe, 6 zucchini plants. A greater Malene volunteered its time to me. When we go around the other side, you'll see that. I planted by seed some calendula, and a few of them have blossomed sort of sporadically, but they've blossomed. So I am guaranteed calendula again next year, and I'm sure I'll buy more. More sunflowers, which are not blooming yet. So the garden is 13 by 50, and this year I planted the zucchini, some Swiss chard, some kohlrabi, green beans, and zucchini. Some of the zucchini is for us, and most of it was for the pigs. Because, as you know, I've got piggies. I love my piggies. So along the parameters of the garden, did I mention it's 13 by 50? Along the parameters, you'll see I've dug out from the fence, 14 or 16 inches, I suppose. And on the inside of the fence is another 14 to 16 inches dug out, but not particularly planted with anything but sunflowers, calendulas, got a borage, a couple of asters. I don't remember what else is in there. But I will continue down the entire length of the garden for this year and into next year with as many native flowering plants as I can that will support my pollinators, because we're a little short on pollinators this year too. Completely short on insects as far as I was concerned. I have not seen a yellow jacket at all this year. Not on the apples that have fallen from the apple trees. Nothing. Nada. And that's a little frightening. We need the yellow jackets too. Let's see, there is that giant pumpkin, if you can see that. See it poking a little bit of yellow out from between the leaves. And I had two, but yeah, that one's now unrecognizable. Some little rodent has had its blast with that over the last couple of weeks, actually. And my Cinderella. There is what's left of the corn stalks. I planted 4 10-foot rows, and I plant a short corn, but that's shorter than it should be. I do the early sun glow because I don't need the corn stalks. I don't do silage. I don't do, stuff that needs corn stalks. So I was just interested in the corn. I ended up with 2 cobs that created kernels, edible, and Doug and I ate it. It was tasty, but and they were regular size ears of corn. But again, the plant's talking to me. We can grow, but we can't produce fruit. We can't particularly bloom successfully. We can't. There's a lot of things we can't do. The zucchini did okay. You can see those 4 plants there. There's one, what I consider too large, and one smaller zucchini there. Oh, and there's a little baby way in the back. And the green beans, I got about a quart. I just made cut green beans and froze them, so we can have them in pot pie and things this winter. There are fresh green beans. That's always nice. 3 sunflowers planted in the middle of the green bean poles, because I do pole beans. When I do peas, I do the same thing. And I ended up with about a gallon of frozen peas this past spring, which was nice. But they weren't in this garden. They were in that bed, which is now just housing the parsnip, which can't be touched until after the first good frost. This zucchini in here, I've got one small one. I think, there's 2 small ones. Medium, well, one almost mid-size and one small one. So I will freeze up, I'll shred it and freeze up a little bit to make zucchini bread, because I really like zucchini bread. And the rest will be, of course, for the piggies. Next year, this end of the garden will be just for Doug and I. There's only the 2 of us, so we don't need a whole lot of veggie. There's only 2 people. What do you need, right? And then this end of the garden, the last 2/3 of it will be all piggy stuff. And I'll grow lots of winter squashes. I'll try corn again. But lots of winter squashes, things that keep well that I can feed my piggies all winter long. And what I'm going to do for bacteria, because if I don't get bacteria in here, nothing's happening next year, just like not much happened to this year. Well, I can't say. The garden was successful in that it spoke to me and told me what I needed to do. And that's what I expected in the first year of a garden. It'll be 2 or 3 years before it's a good producing garden. Is that what you think? I guess that's what we call it. So this is the beginning of a compost pile. And what I intend to do is, when I'm done pulling out all of the rest of the corn, I let the pumpkins go as long as they want to go. Then I will move this compost into the garden, and I'll make 3 piles. Every third of the way I'll put a pile of compost. And Yeah, I mean, that's where I need it. It makes sense. That's where to put it. I'm going to make some charcoal as soon as they lift our burn ban. I'll add a little bit of that to my compost, along with some really high quantity nitrogen. I have comfrey tea going on the front porch, and we'll use some urea. We get lots of nitrogen in there to break that compost down. This is my strawberry bed, and I do the wild strawberries, so they're nice little plants. That's a beautiful borage going there. I wish all of my borages looked like that, but they don't. And then there, I'm debating, do I transplant or try transplanting 2 well-established asparagus in the garden, or do I plant something else in there? Asparagus does not transplant well, but maybe I'll take a chance. We'll see. And then over here, I restored my raspberry bed, which I'm not going to bore you with the raspberry bed. I have red raspberries and yellow raspberries. The yellows did fine this year, although they need to be better organized and cleaned up. But other than that, they did fine. They'll be great next year. So we have the parsnip, which we'll see how that does. And I bake with parsnip more than anything else. This is my garlic bed for next year, which I'll get planted in October. Over there, let's see, you can see the orange handles of an old rototiller sticking up. That is the onion bed, which looks just like this right now. And I will plant my onions in October as well. Here we have my gorgeous clarendendron. Love my clarendendron. And I've got my fennel, which I can harvest pretty soon. And I'm going to get my sage harvested. Those are my wonderful saffron crocus. Oh, just wonderful. I love the saffron crocus. One of my favorites. Behind this linaria, I have, let's move that. That is a, oh my goodness, azalea. I'm sorry. It left me temporarily. That's an azalea that I thought I was going to lose. But it set bud for next year, so I took it out of its pot, put it in the ground, and I thought, okay, women of prayer, we'll see if that one makes it. It's going to make it, I believe. And my Himalayan honeysuckle, which I love. So that's what's going on with the garden. We've had a good apple crop this year. And in with the chickens in the orchard, I've still got some apples on those trees. These 2 little trees. I'm sure you can see those. These are both the Knight brothers of New Jersey created these. They're great cider apples. And although we don't do cider, we don't make cider, really good for the piggies. Very high in tannins. What else do we have in here? Let's go through and run that. We've got table grapes, more than the entire neighborhood would eat. I've got some Jerusalem artichoke right there that I'm going to move. If I don't move the asparagus, I'll put the Jerusalem artichoke in that bed. Just because I have to cage it because the chickens eat it as it's coming up. There are the yellow raspberries on the east side of the garden. Or I'm sorry, that's the west side. West side of the garden, you may be able to tell there are wine grapes over there that nobody eats. Even the pigs don't like them. The chickens will eat them if they can't get hold of the table grapes. There's a pear tree in the corner. This is my Methley plum, my favorite plum. Let's see if we can center in on, we're getting that. I think that's it. I got the sun in my eyes, so I'm not sure. That would be my black gold cherry. And then over there is my Wellington mulberry. The cherry hasn't produced in 2 years. I don't know what's up with it. But, well, right now it looks like it needs a drink. But other than that, it's doing fine. Oops, let me go the other way. Back out. And there's a chicken squawking. My little chickies. Love my girls. Love my girls. Okay, so that's what's up with the garden. I'm debating whether or not to plant my horseradish in the garden. I don't know why I ever planted it in the first place, because we really don't use enough horseradish that requires a planting of it. You know what I mean? But it's over here, and you can see where it's been neglected, like everything else around here, for several years. And you'll see some of the roots are huge. But if I decide, I'm probably just going to clean it up. See that, baby? Maybe just clean it up and start fresh where it was to begin with, and just leave it over there, because I know I didn't get all the roots out, and it's just going to come back there anyway. I'm going to get my staghorn sumac planted in one of the corners of the garden, but I don't know which one yet. And I've got in that pot full of volunteers. Aren't they cute? I've got some bear's breech that I will get moved into the garden so that it is there for pollinators. And the pinks, lots of pinks in the garden. Pollinators like them. Okay, that's garden time at my house. You guys have a good one. Bye.